Hi, welcome back to Broadsheet Sydney Around Town. If this is your first time here, don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss a video. I'm Emma Joyce, Broadsheet's features editor, and I'm the host of this short audio guide to Sydney. Let's get into it. Hi, Holly.
Hi, Emma.
Now, you've written a story about a new place in Coogee. You've also made a really big claim that this summer, the place to be was Coogee.
Yes, that's right.
So tell me about Louie. Who opened it? Where is it?
So, yeah, I live in Coogee and I was just blown away by just the vibrance in the suburb this summer. You'd go down of a summer's afternoon and there was, live musicians playing. There was like fire twirling performances. It kind of felt like a mini Byron Bay feel down there. And I feel like all of the action's often happening down on like Coogee Bay Road. There's like all of those kind of little takeaway stores, but just around the corner is where Louie has opened. So it's like at the south end of the beach. Behind it is a Coogee local. His name's Chris Liu. So he's also behind Flower Child Cafe and Happy as Larry, which is a pizza truck turned restaurant. But it's his first kind of solo journey. So yeah, it's like modern Italian kind of restaurant, but they're kind of wanting to influence like more of the Australian coast in their menu. So we'll start to see that come in the coming weeks.
So what's on the menu at the moment?
Yeah, so there's this lovely brisket ragu. There's also another swimmer crab pasta, which is really lovely. This lamb skewer with prawns. It's super tender and delicious. And the tiramisu is such a good way to end.
Are these mains share plates? Are you wanting to take kind of a date who will trade plates with you halfway through?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good option. You don't want to just be stuck with one. They complement each other beautifully. The menu is designed to share. So yeah, you want to get as many of the different flavors. I would say the ragu is quite like hearty, whereas the swimmer crab's really light and really good.
You mentioned the tiramisu, which I love a tiramisu anywhere.
Yeah.
But this one is kind of light and fluffy. What else do they have on the dessert menu?
Yeah, so they're hoping to bring in more kind of elevating more like of the Aussie nostalgic desserts that we're really familiar with. So there's going to be a Wheeze bar dessert coming soon.
Yum.
Yeah, so I didn't mention, but they've also got a lot of house-made gelato. So I'm kind of thinking it would be something like that.
There's also kind of an underrated item on the menu, the bread.
The bread, yes. It's so good. It comes with truffle butter and it's like this big, I wouldn't say a sprinkling, I would say a drenching of Parmesan cheese. And yeah, it's a really lovely way.
The right amount.
Yeah, that's how much cheese you want. You want a drenching on everything. But yeah, that's how it kind of comes out still warm and it's all, a lot of the ingredients are 95% are made in-house. So yeah, the bread is also made in-house, which is lovely.
Yeah, that's awesome. So he makes his own sourdough and also gelato.
Yeah, and they churn out all their own pasta.
Fantastic. Can you see the beach from this venue?
From the outside you can, and that's the exciting part is they're bringing in some external seats. So soon you will be able to dine with an ocean view, but currently it's just indoors.
You mentioned how vibrant Coogee is at the moment. And are they going to be doing anything in addition to the food and drinks at Louie?
Yes. So they've already got DJs playing kind of on the Friday and the Saturday nights, but permanent live musicians are going to be a thing on Sunday. So yeah, they're kind of calling them Sunday
they're
sessions.
Keeping the party going.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
But yeah, what they're hoping to also bring in the coming weeks is like a Sunday roast type thing, which will kind of blend into that Sunday session. There'll be the live musicians, the drink specials. But Chris would really like it to be a place where locals can come and yeah, just kind of that community hub sort of feel.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming in and making a case.
No worries.
For your home suburb.
You've got to come out.
I better come and visit you. Thanks, Holly.
Thanks, Emma.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Emma. How are you?
I hear you have been to a new bar on Crown Street, which has a really impressive sake collection.
Yes. So the bar is called Amuro, and it's a specialist sake bar. Another one for Sydney. We've got Auntie. That's kind of, I guess, the biggest one we have at the moment. But yeah, a great new player in the sake scene. It's only 20 seats, so it's very, very intimate. Excellent date spot. And yeah, you just sort of settle in and the owner, Kei Tokiwa, he basically will just launch straight into the sake, off the bat. It's like the first thing that happens when you get in there. He just sort of like starts, throwing out options for you.
What kind of varieties?
So he's basically got around 20 bottles at any one time, and I'm sure that'll grow, as the venue goes on. But basically, you try 3. That everyone is different, obviously. And basically, he walks you through exactly what went into the production of the sake. He'll get really specific with things like polish rate. So you make sake, obviously using rice, and basically the polish rate describes how much of the grain of rice has been polished away, and depending on the ratio, whether it's 50 or 60% or whatever it might be, that has huge implications for flavor. And we tried a lot of it's called junmai. So it's basically sort of one of the purer forms of sake. And yeah, you sort of get to try 3 at a time. And then once you've chosen, then he'll just like top you up and you sort of sit on that and snack away. And it's really cool. It's really fun.
What is he serving you in terms of food?
So food it's pretty classic, kind of like izakaya sort of style food. So like a lot of snacky sort of items. I know that he took inspiration from a manga called Midnight Diner. And there's actually a TV adaptation of it you can see on Netflix. And it's basically just like a neighborhood diner in Japan, I think in Tokyo, I believe. And yeah, it's just kind of like a real communal sort of vibe in there. And it's very snacky and like basically something to eat in between your sake course, if you like.
What was your favorite dish of the night? I
loved a lot of the sort of raw seafood dishes. So there's these really sweet, beautiful little prawns that I really loved. There was a scallop crudo when we went there. And there's also sort of more familiar things like karage. Although this karage it had like a Sichuan spice in the batter somehow. So there was kind of like a numbing effect. Bit of heat, yeah, which I'd never really had before. And other things like there was a pork belly dish that was reminiscent of like chashu in ramen.
I'm salivating. You are making me quite hungry listing all of these items.
Yeah, so it's a lot of really snacky things. And I guess the idea is that you have a sake, have a snack, have sake, have a snack, and you just kind of keep going like that. So yeah, you have to buy a drink when you go there, but you can certainly just smash out a bunch of plates and, get across it. So for example, I went there with my partner and two other friends, and we basically ordered the whole menu between the 4 of us.
Kay, where do we know him from?
Probably most notably at Sake Bar, which we,
Delicious ramen.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites. All of them, everything that the Sake Bar sort of group does is pretty special. So most notably he's been there, but then he's also done like a bit of menu development for a few other Japanese venues around Sydney, Kahi being one of them, and one in Mascot. So he's been around the traps, but this is his first sort of foray into his own venue, and it's a smashing success, I think.
I know that he's been really involved with the detail of the venue as well. So can you tell us a little bit about what it looks and feels like?
As I mentioned before, it's very intimate, and that is one of the best things about this place is that sort of detail is everywhere. He goes into so much detail about the sake there, and then that almost carries over to how much detail there is in the venue. So there's a lot of beautiful wooden sort of furniture in there. We were definitely going crazy for that. We were trying to Google, where some of the pieces would have come from. So it's a really beautiful space to be in, and it sort of looks out onto the street.
Is there a prime time to visit?
We got there when it opened at 4:00 because we were just sort of,
You were keen.
Yeah, and sort of terrified we wouldn't get in. Probably by about 7:00, there was a queue to get in. Not a huge queue, but people are waiting to get in. So I would recommend getting there early. And
so no bookings.
Walk-ins only. Yeah.
And whereabouts on Crown Street are we talking?
Yeah, so it's sort of towards the Oxford Street end of Crown Street, and it's right near, if you know Rosie Campbell's,
Yep.
the Caribbean restaurant. It's right near there.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks, Emma.
That's all we have time for today. As always, you can keep up to date with what's happening around Sydney at broadsheet.com.au and on Instagram at broadsheet_Sid. See you next time.